Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler. This is kind of a weird episode. We're circling back to a topic from an Intermission episode, which makes this, I guess, Intermission 9.1. I don't know that we've ever had a supplemental episode on an intermission, but maybe we have and I've just forgotten. Back in that episode, I showed you guys this, a complete saga set out of 2011, and how this was kind of special because it was signed by Ray Park, which I thought was pretty cool. In the near future, we will also see a VHS about Jeremy Bulloch, signed by the late Boba Fett actor. That'll be a separate episode by itself once I get a chance to actually really watch it and get a sense of what it's all about. It was something that only recently entered my collection. But I figured that at a recent point, I kind of was out of stuff I was looking for and decided to splurge a little bit, which now I'm kind of paying for because now I'm kind of scrambling to make sure I have the funds available to save for other stuff. But splurge a little bit and get some more signed Star Wars home video items to put in my collection. Probably the last ones I'll ever care to get. Just stuff that I happened to see and I was like, you know what? Why not? That might be kind of fun to include in my collection and maybe put on display in my collection room. So I wanted to just share those and continue on with this discussion in the comments about the idea of signed Star Wars memorabilia. Do you collect it? What type do you collect? Does it conform to your other collecting preferences or not? I've got a bunch of signed Star Wars like comics and Star Wars books. I got a ton of signed Star Wars books in particular, but I don't collect them as much anymore, the books not as much anymore, because I sold off my collection. I've gone more to ebooks when it comes to that. That's where the room came to be able to put all this stuff in. But I'll still pick it up from time to time, and yet this stuff is stuff that fits with my broader collecting focus, which is home video. So curious to see what you guys do, if anything, when it comes to signed stuff. These are all things signed that I've picked up after the fact rather than taking to get signed myself. I don't get a chance to go to conventions and stuff like that very much, certainly not anymore. So, a few things I want to show you that were recent acquisitions. One I actually find really, really cool that some might be like, but I find really cool, and which doesn't actually have a COA with it. Some of them do, some of them don't. This one did not. This one also does not. Certificate of Authenticity, that is. And that is this. This is Lego Star Wars The Empire Strikes Out. Yay. And it's not even the whole thing, right? It doesn't have the big cardboard case over it with the minifigure or anything. It's just the DVD in its DVD case. As my chair creaks there. Signed here by Tom Kane, who plays, among others, Yoda in places like this series and Clone Wars and so on. And up there at the top, and this is matching a photo I actually have signed of his, Sam Witwer. Now, for those of you who follow on Patreon, you will be hearing more about my affinity for Sam Witwer's voice acting in the near future, because the episode's coming up in the commentaries to be released, I guess, in May. That are already recorded are my episodes on the 2 episodes that feature Darth Maul at the end of Season 4 of the Clone Wars. Lots of gushing about how awesome that performance as Maul is. But I've wanted to have something that is signed by Witwer aside from just the image that I had from back whenever I was a big fan, thanks to The Force Unleashed. Now I've got it here, and signed by Tom Kane as well. Hopefully he is in better health. I think the last we heard was pretty rough, but I don't know that we've gotten any official updates recently. Then we have one of those 2013 Blu-ray DVD combo packs. What is the deal? It's marked here. They use a little sticker thing on the actual insert to let you know that it is signed and what the authenticity is. Right here, signed by Billy D. Williams, aka Lando. Pretty appropriate. This is one that actually, when it arrived, did not include the Empire Strikes Back disc. My guess is they took the disc out, got it signed as well, and then sold it separately than this. So I grabbed a spare copy and just stuck the disc in there. This is one that does have its certificate of authenticity type stuff. This one through JSA, James Spence Authentication, Follow the Leader, it says. That was pretty cool to pick up. One that I was kind of on the fence about, but decided to get. And then the other two were the ones that really were just like, you know what, if I'm going to get it, and I can get it now, I'm going to get them to put in my collection, because these are signatures I really don't want to pass up. And they had COAs with them, so I'm fairly confident in what I have here. Although, COAs can also be counterfeited just like the signatures themselves can be, so, it's always sort of a trust thing and trying to verify with the source. Thankfully, most places give you a website to check, or to inquire about the source. This is a copy of Return of the Jedi on DVD that came out of the either the Family Pack or original 2004 release, so 2004 or 2005 release, because the cases and discs were the same, that is signed by Mark Hamill. She's signed there by Luke. Mark Hamill there. Again, these are marked with a little symbol and pointing you to the website and all the kind of stuff you need for the certificate of authentication or authenticity. This one comes from Calligraphs Collectibles in Encinas, California. Certified authentic, blah, blah, blah. This is another one that came, it was just the case. My guess is they took the disc, got it signed, and sold it separately as well. So I just grabbed a spare disc and stuck it inside here. And the last one is the one that I'm just like, it's the one that's kind of soured me on doing any of this anymore, on getting the signed stuff. It's just a little frustrating to me when it comes down to it. And I'll explain why after we take a look at it and get into the authentication process I then went through. I'm having a lot of trouble speaking today because it's so damn hot in here, and I'm not going to keep editing myself because it takes much longer to record when I do that. That's this. This is The Force Awakens, signed there by Daisy Ridley. Okay, so we got one signed by Luke, one signed by Daisy Ridley. I don't have a movie or anything signed by Hayden Christensen for the main character of the prequels, but I do have a copy of the Attack of the Clones novelization. Can't remember if it's the original cover or the updated cover. I think the original cover that is signed by the author and by Hayden Christensen, so that works. But you don't tend to see stuff that is like books signed by actors. So what this turned out to be, you see the PSA DNA sticker down here with the little number and their little certificate of authenticity thing, and telling you where you can look and who to contact to confirm authenticity, which I wound up doing. It's supposed to be a DVD copy of The Force Awakens, signed by Daisy Ridley. I went through the process of checking on the authentication, which took a little bit. And yes, they're able to confirm this is an authentic signature, hence everything being marked and having their certificate of authenticity. But the person who took this to get it signed and authenticated took a bootleg to do it. When you put the disc in that actually came with it, less than 4.7 gigabytes, guaranteed to be a bootleg. I have since bought a spare disc and stuck it inside. But the actual cover here, if you take it and just compare it to the regular copies, it just looks printed rather than mass-produced. It's hard to tell just by looking at it. Anyone would see this on the shelf and just assume it must be legit. I might have even thought maybe late print run or something, as we saw with the Video 8 Jedi thing. Maybe a later print run if it wasn't quite of the same print quality as something from day one. But having that disc in it, there was definitely a bootleg. Once I checked the file size, pretty much clinched it. So I wonder how it came about. Because this is a company that tends to be at signings and certify stuff for you. So the person who brought this to get it signed brought a bootleg to get it signed. Did they know it was? Did they grab something very quickly before the signing from somebody on the a vendor at a convention or something who was selling bootlegs? Did they just go and grab whatever was the cheapest one off of eBay to take it and get it signed, etc., etc.? I wonder at the backstory of it. But because I was able to confirm that the signature itself was authentic, and I could just replace the disc, leaving only the cover as, let's call it a reproduction, not a bootleg. Let's call it a reproduction so I don't get angry with it. I decided to go ahead and keep it instead of sending it back, so it will go on my home video shelves. But I guess there's irony in the fact that as much as I dislike people selling bootlegs and whatnot, that it turns out that when I do manage to get my hands on something signed by Daisy Ridley as a home video release to put in my collection, it winds up being a bootleg that was originally signed. Thankfully, I can switch the disc, but obviously I can't switch the cover because that is the piece that is signed. And that is the kind of thing you run into. You can run into counterfeit signatures. You can run into counterfeit products when you're looking for stuff like this. I find that the home video trading out there, aside from the obvious bootlegs that are out there, usually obvious bootlegs, the home video trading scene tends to have less bootlegs that aren't obvious that you run into on places like eBay and whatnot. But when it comes to like the signed stuff market, where they can get big money in some cases, depending on whose signature it is or is supposed to be, that tends to be a place where you see a lot more forgeries than otherwise. So I guess I should feel lucky that this appears to be the only one that ran into that issue. The other ones are all, just fine. So just wanted to share those here as I'm still doing research on some of the other stuff that I'll be doing episodes on in the near future. I had a chance to record, wanted to get in another episode, and this just felt like a kind of a fun extra topic to dive back into again to get that conversation going again. So with that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the force be with the home video viewers.